So I guess we're good.
Thanks so much for being with us here on Atlanta News First Plus. I'm Joy Lim Nakrin. So I want to let you know we're following some breaking news just into our newsroom a short time ago, and I want to show you a live image from the scene. What we've learned from law enforcement is that a deputy was shot in Carroll County during a criminal investigation. Authorities say that they are investigating this incident that happened just this morning. The sheriff's office saying that the deputy has not been identified, but here is a traffic camera that shows you the scene. Obviously, you see a bit of a traffic backup there. The sheriff's office saying that the deputy, who has not been identified, was shot near Don Rich Drive in Carrollton while executing a search warrant for the Georgia Bureau of Investigation, and has been taken to the hospital. And the sheriff's office saying in a statement, quote, "Please pray for the deputy, his family, and our department." The GBI said it has been requested to look into the shooting that happened at the scene of an active criminal investigation. And, this shooting comes just 3 days after a Paulding County deputy was shot and killed while responding to a domestic dispute call. And we're going to keep following the breaking developments on this story. But, I mentioned what happened in Paulding County, which is very much on the hearts and minds of so many in that community. The community really mourning the loss of this fallen deputy, preparing to say their final goodbyes. And we're also learning much more about his final moments protecting the community that he served. Atlanta News First Don Shipman has more from the Paulding County Sheriff's Office.
While Deputy Brandon Cunningham's funeral is scheduled for this coming Friday, the public is encouraged to come to this memorial that's outside the sheriff's office right here. You can see this patrol car, and you can see Cunningham's badge number on the front, along with all of these flowers. And then take a look at that poster right there, homemade. We met the young boy named Cody who made it, and he came out to watch as a 40-mile police procession brought Cunningham back to Paulding County.
Pay my respect to the police officers. I think it's respectful, and I think no one should disrespect him.
People lining the streets to mourn Deputy Brandon Cunningham. Law enforcement from all over the state participating in this as his body was moved from the Georgia Bureau of Investigation headquarters in DeKalb County to a funeral home in Hiram. Cunningham, a 30-year-old father of two, was shot and killed over the weekend while responding to a domestic call. Authorities say within 8 seconds of getting on the scene, 42-year-old Jimmy Atkins, who later died of a self-inflicted gunshot wound after an hours-long standoff, ambushed the deputy.
This man was called to a scene to assist somebody in distress and was met with life-ending force.
The nonprofit Paulding County Public Safety Appreciation is raising money for Cunningham's family. That dollar amount has increased significantly, too, up to $36,000 now. We have all the donation information posted on our website, along with information on the funeral slated for this coming Friday, happening at the West Ridge Church. In Paulding County, Don Shipman, Atlanta News First.
Turning now to this story in Coweta County, about 40 miles southwest of Atlanta. Homeowners there are really upset about a proposal to raise their property taxes. Concerned taxpayers actually descending on a public hearing about this. Atlanta News First reporter Rebecca Schramm is in Noonan with more.
This is the second of 3 public hearings to give citizens a chance to tell commissioners what they think about the proposed millage rate increase. It's happening here inside County Commission chambers in downtown Noonan. Here's the situation. County commissioners say that in order to keep up with inflation and to continue providing county services, they need to raise taxes. Now, they initially proposed a 39% increase in the millage rate for maintenance and operations, but that has since been reduced to 28% based on some adjustments they made. Still, it means a couple $100s more a year in property taxes for a lot of homeowners here in Coweta County. Many of them believe that the county is trying to make the changes now before a new law kicks in January that will cap property tax increases at 3% a year, but county officials say that is not the case. Earlier this month, we spoke with a man who organized a petition against the increase, and here's some of what he said.
Everybody's upset. I haven't talked to anybody that's for this.
They're coming to the citizens at the wrong time in history to get money from the citizens to replenish their general fund.
Besides this morning's public hearing, there's another one scheduled for 6 o'clock this evening. And then after that, county commissioners are expected to vote on the millage rate increase proposal. So we will let you know what happens. In Noonan, in Coweta County, Rebecca Schramm, Atlanta News First.
And thanks so much to Rebecca for that report. Okay, let's talk about the Democratic National Convention. It's day 2 getting underway today. Day 1 kicked off in Chicago with a night full of speeches and a symbolic passing of the torch from Joe Biden to Kamala Harris. Atlanta News First political reporter Doug Reardon reports on night 1 with a look ahead at what's to come.
I'm political reporter Doug Reardon from the United Center in Chicago. Night 1 of the DNC was packed with high-profile addresses and a lot of energy here at the venue. Former Secretary of State and Democratic nominee for President Hillary Clinton spoke, as did Kentucky Governor Andy Beshear, who was almost a vice presidential pick, First Lady Jill Biden, Georgia Senator Raphael Warnock, and of course, President Joe Biden. It was at once a swan song for the longtime politician and a passing of the torch to his vice president Kamala Harris, who is officially now the nominee. Biden, who stepped aside unusually late in this race, said to the crowd, "I love my job, but I love my country more." Former President Barack Obama, who Biden served as vice president under, will speak on night 2 of the Democratic National Convention.
And we're going to have more on that, of course, throughout the day, and he's going to be bringing you live reports throughout the week. Okay, so let's talk about this issue happening in Decatur right now. So it's a big problem, I should say, not just in Decatur, but really across the metro, street racing. Well, right now, there's a search going on to identify people involved in a large street racing event in Decatur. Atlanta News First Yasmina Alston spoke with people who were taking their concerns to city leaders.
They were backed up from every direction of the intersection.
This is what a Decatur mom witnessed outside her home early Sunday morning. What she says was at least 100 cars blocking the intersection of Claremont Avenue and Scott Boulevard, laying drag and doing donuts in the road.
It's unsafe. This road leads to 4 hospitals, and they have all of the intersections blocked off. So in addition to somebody directly getting killed by one of their vehicles, they're also blocking off potential life-saving services for our community.
For safety reasons, residents didn't want to be identified, but still wanted to speak out with their concerns in hopes of change.
I would like to see cameras here in Decatur. I want to see people held accountable. It's ridiculous that we have the technology to hold people accountable, and it seems like they're not.
The skid marks are still visible on the street. Another resident who lives a little further from the intersection says she could hear the tires screeching, the engines, and even what sounded like fireworks from her home for at least half an hour.
Yeah, it's a very busy area, and I heard cars honking, and it seemed like they were tying up traffic.
Decatur police say they responded to the street racing event, and everyone involved scattered.
I'd really love to see them just take it somewhere else safer. And for them to not be doing this in residential areas, in unsafe areas.
Yasmina Alston, Atlanta News First.
All right, let's take a look at the forecast now. First Alert meteorologist Courtney Jacobazi. I don't know what that means. Green, it looks like a sherbet. Green, yellow, orange.
Oh my gosh, that's a great way to do it. And we all love sherbet and sorbet and all the wonderful things.
It's the weather for it.
We are going to love what this is showing you, and it's showing you lower humidity. So dew points, especially the amount of moisture in the air. Wow, now I can't get that out of my head. It looks like sherbet, and I just love that. The weather is going to feel as good as sherbet tastes, everyone. The dew points in the 50s, that's where we want to be. Currently, that's sitting up in parts of Ohio and Kentucky and Missouri and even parts of Nashville, parts of Tennessee, seeing 50s for dew points. We're still in the 60s, and notice Savannah in the 70s. That is really sticky. We don't want that. But we want the dry air, and what's going to happen is through the day today, we're going to have a northerly flow pull in those 50s dew points, ultimately that drier air, that's going to continue to seep into North Georgia and just give us a beautiful day and an even better start to tomorrow. So let's talk about it. As we head through the evening tonight, again, with that northerly flow, that's going to pull in that Canadian dry air that's currently sitting to our north. That will enter into North Georgia through the day today. So this morning, it was still a little muggy, definitely felt better than yesterday and over the weekend, but this afternoon is going to feel spectacular. So if you have dinner plans tonight, as the kids are wrapping up some maybe their after-school practices today, it's just going to feel great outside. We'll have temperatures generally in the low to mid 80s today, so really, really a nice afternoon. And then as we head into tomorrow morning, again, that drier and slightly cooler air really settles in. We'll have dew points in the 50s for most of the area. Now, the further south and east you go, you're closer to a cold front that moved in over the weekend that's still just off the coast, but it's still trapping in moisture. So the further south and east you are, the less fall-like it's going to feel for you, but it'll still be better than that really soupy summertime feel that we've had the last couple of weeks. It does look like we might get a little surge of moisture tomorrow afternoon, which could maybe promote an isolated shower tomorrow afternoon and evening, but for the most part, it's just going to be wonderful weather-wise. Of course, it is just past 10 o'clock. Some spots are still in the mid-60s, just really, really comfortable, closer to 80 degrees in the city of Atlanta. And as we go through the day today, temperatures will continue to climb, but most of the afternoon will be in the low 80s. We will top out briefly in the upper 80s around 5 o'clock this afternoon. Most of Metro topping out in the mid to upper 80s. The North Georgia mountains will top out in the low 80s today. Really a beautiful, spectacular day with a lot of sunshine. So get out and enjoy it. And one of the ways you can get out and enjoy it is going to the Braves game. They're finally back in town. They were away for quite some time, and hopefully coming home will give them a little bit more luck with that home team advantage, because if you've been following Braves baseball, you know they haven't been doing so hot, but they've had a lot of injuries, okay, so we can't even be mad about it. Tonight, they are back at Truist at 7:20. That's when first pitch is playing the Phillies, and so if you want to go grab some dinner at the Battery, 87 degrees around 5 o'clock, and then we will gradually drop into the 70s by 11 with that humidity dropping. It is going to be a spectacular night for baseball at Truist Park. Overnight tonight, again, as that drier air really settles in, that allows our temperatures to drop even more. So tomorrow morning, a handful of us will wake up in the 50s, low 60s for areas north of the city. Atlanta, you'll wake up in the mid 60s, so really a comfortable start to the day. Now, I did mention that potential surge of moisture just slightly. It's not going to feel super humid tomorrow afternoon, but we'll have just enough moisture in the air to maybe promote a few showers. We're going to watch this upper level feature that will go by to our north, and that's going to help potentially kick up any of that extra moisture or excess moisture that's out there to give us just a small rain chance tomorrow afternoon and Thursday. Rain chance really at 10% or less, so you're not going to see a rain chance on the 7-day forecast, but you'll notice maybe a few extra clouds Wednesday and Thursday, maybe a sprinkle or two, as again, we'll have this upper level feature kind of passing by to our north, and that'll take advantage of any extra moisture that we have to kind of lift it and give us maybe a stray shower. Now, beyond that, we'll get a reinforcement of dry air, so it's only going to get nicer as we head into the weekend. Now, it is going to get hotter, but we'll get kind of a second push of dry air come Friday, so it is going to be super, super comfortable Friday and Saturday. In fact, Saturday we're going to wake up in the 60s. Sunday morning we're waking up in the 60s with that dry air. It's going to be wonderful. Now, we'll stay in the 80s through Saturday. Unfortunately, we do have the return of the 90s as we head into Sunday, and I will let you know that beyond that, heading into next week, we're still in the low 90s, but we definitely have the potential for some mid, maybe even upper 90s next week. You know, we get this every time in Georgia. You get a little false fall, you get a little tease of fall after melting all summer, and then it gets hot one more time. This happened last August, in fact. We got a nice taste of fall just around this time, and then we went into like the upper 90s for the end of August all the way into Labor Day, and then we finally kind of settled into fall a little bit after that. So that is where we are right now, and it seems to happen every year here in Georgia. So just enjoy the nice weather while it lasts, the 80s, the comfortable mornings, mostly dry. Again, can't rule out a stray shower Wednesday and Thursday, but then the return of the 90s comes back on Sunday and into Monday, and it does look like it continues into next week. All right, everyone, thanks so much for joining me for Atlanta News First Plus. Thanks for joining us, in fact, for your news and weather. Be sure to stay here all day. We'll have all of your top stories, of course, the latest on the DNC in Chicago. We have plenty of extra coverage on that for you, really in-depth information. And, of course, we'll have more on your forecast throughout the day, not only here, but on the First Alert weather apps. Be sure to have that handy. Make it a wonderful Tuesday, and we'll catch you here next time.